just wasn't sure how to get access.
Kyra. Yes, we're ready to go.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call our public workshop to order on today, January 24th. And they say it's South Florida, but I'm not sure it is because it's way too cold, but welcome and thanks for braving the elements. We're going to take roll call by just going around, starting down here on my left. Just say your name and your organization and say it. And if any of you are new, I don't know if you are, just push the mic is on button and then we'll be able to hear you on the right-hand side of your little box there.
I'm new to the meeting, Manny Fuentes, Broward County Elderly and Veteran Services Division.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Owen Walker. I'm from Elderly and Veteran Services Division.
Good afternoon, Mary Deisman, FDOT.
Good afternoon, Mark Levitt, Transportation America.
Bob Sidlecki, representing people over the age of 60 that reside in Broward County.
Vera Sherritt, Citizen Advocate Alternate.
Sandy Johnson, Chairperson of this meeting.
Charlie Burke, MPO staff.
I'm from Crenshaw with the Broward County Community Action Agency.
Good afternoon, Sue Gallagher, Children's Services Council.
Disabilities.
Good afternoon, Judith Graver, Department of Health.
Good afternoon. I'm Alexis Harrison. I'm with Vocational Rehabilitation.
Good afternoon, Maria Chiari, Department of Children and Families.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerome Hill. I'm a new member with the Agency for Healthcare Administration.
Good afternoon, Jake McIntyre, National Federation of the Blind.
All right. Thank you all very much. And as I said before, welcome. Today, we're going to have our public workshop, which is going to review the LCB guidebook. We're going to play a little game and test our knowledge. Arlene, do you want to share with them what we're up to?
Sure. Happy to introduce. So what we're going to do, we'll be looking at the LCB guidebook and we're going to call it a scavenger hunt, but there's really not a lot of scavengering. I just want you all to be familiar with the text. So you can use the features on your keyboard, do Control F and search. I basically have told you the pages that the answers are on. And then the questions will appear beside that on the exercise. So Rebecca, it's just a matter of us clicking on the icon on the bottom toolbar to get started, or will you engage? No, she's in there. Kyra, can we just go ahead and click down below to get this up? Okay. So you speak in the mic? Everyone has it. It's loaded on the computer. Okay. Yeah. There we go. There's going to be side by side. Oh, up.
Oh, well, thanks.
Good.
I didn't even see it.
I have my combined guidebook up.
Okay.
What did she do to the baby?
Is it this one right here?
Be patient. We'll get everyone there.
That's okay.
Over there.
Oh, you know what I did is I was being studious and I opened it up ahead of time. Thank you.
Well, I guess I would just listen,
I should get to reading this.
with magnifying and see some of it. Read so
I'm reading all kinds of stuff.
Well, now I just changed that one, but that's okay. So here's the book and there's the question.
God bless. Okay. Mobile coordinating for.
So there's the one, and then
Ah,
I had already pulled a lot of them up.
oh,
So there
thank
go.
you.
Okay, we'll just take another minute or so to ensure everyone has the presentation side by side. And then this is an independent activity, which wanted to be respectful of trying to maintain social distance. So we're coming around. If you don't have both of them up, we'll get both of them on the screen. And essentially, we'll open the questions on the left, and then the answers are on the right. And you're just going to use Control F on your keyboard to find the answers. And when you have the answer, just go ahead and come onto the microphone and share the answer.
No, it's fine. It's just.
And I will read the questions out in case we have participation online. Wonderful, great.
Okay, should we go ahead?
Yeah, if you all have them up and you would like to proceed, go right ahead. As I said, when you have the answer, and it tells you where to go on the page in the first question, it says Sunshine Law provides formal actions are binding, whether taken or made at internal or open meetings. And you go to the PDF document, which is the member guidebook, and you can find out if that answer is true or false. And when you know the answer, then just turn your mic on and share the answer.
I believe the answer is true. Did I? Is that what we were supposed to do or no? Got it. I'm sorry.
No worries.
So I'm not sure the document right here. You just have the page number that it tells you to go to 119. Put it right here in that little block right there.
Okay, and then, but if I want to answer, I just hit whichever.
No, you're not even doing that. You can just turn your mic on and share the answer. You can say, this is here, I have the answer. Figure that out.
That is
Right here. So if you want, just for, as you move through the presentation. And then it'll pull up for you. Okay, thank you. You're good, right? Yes, I'm good. Okay, so you guys figured out what you guys have to do this, sir? Okay, yeah, so that paper was on the right up here, where the number 2 is.
Yeah, because it's not reading it.
Yeah, just keep going through right now, I guess.
You got it? Anyone else need help? Yeah. Oh, wonderful. I didn't give
The
them anything to
answer.
write the answers down
Yeah, we
with,
should
though.
have done that. I'm sure isn't there an application on here?
Going to let you all work through the exercise. We'll bring around paper and pen.
Amazing. Okay.
You? No, I don't. Thank you.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Paper. You can just work through the exercise. Yeah, just write it down.
Have the rest of them out here.
It's saying unlabeled graphic. I hit control.
I can hear it.
Open meeting.
Apology for the disruption, but for those who are participating online and for the purpose of the recording, I will read through the questions. The second question, local coordinating powers and duties are listed in Chapter 427 of Florida statutes and Rule 412 of Florida Administrative Code. True or false? Four two seven 013 Florida statute states, purpose of the CTC is to accomplish coordination of transportation services provided to the transportation disadvantaged.
Number 2 is true.
Who approves the appointment of a CTC? Four possible answers, A, B, C, D, the CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCB. Who provides transportation services for TD eligible individuals in the community? Again, A, B, C, or D. CTD, CTC, MPO, LCB. Who develops and maintains TD rider eligibility? A, B, C, or D? The CTD, the CTC, the MPO, the LCB. Which agency approves the memorandum of agreement between the CTD and the CTC, and how often? A, B, C, or D? The CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCB? The Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan provides a blueprint of TD services with a framework for service performance evaluation to meet the needs of the community. True or false? The local coordinating board reviews the annual operating report prepared by the CTC. True or false? Who conducts an evaluation of the community transportation coordinator, the CTC, and how often? A, B, C, or D? The CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCB? Again, that's the CTD is the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged. The CTC is the Community Transportation Coordinator. The MPO is the planning agency, and the local coordinating board is the LCB.
Who's in charge of transportation?
Continuing, who develops statewide policies and procedures, eligibility guidelines, provides technical assistance, and conducts quality assurance service reviews, and how often? Answers are A, B, C, and D, as before. A, CTD, B, CTC, C, MPO, and D, LCB. Bus passes for TD, Transportation Disadvantage, are purchased with trip and equipment grant funds and help incentivize use of fixed route system in service areas where available. Bonus, what is one benefit and one challenge for fixed route TD bus passes? And this is a true or false. According to LCB bylaws, members are required to provide 1 day's notice of two alternates, and the planning agency, the MPO staff, if they will or will not attend a meeting. True or false? Who recommends TD eligibility guidelines and who assists? A, B, C, or D? The CTD, the CTC, the MPO, and the LCB. The LCB Review Committee processes, investigates service complaints, quote unquote, and the LCB Grievance Committee reviews, quote unquote, formal grievances. Bonus, who serves as ombudsman for grievance complaints? And this is a true or false. The LCB recommends eligibility guidelines and trip prioritization to the CTC for non-sponsored trips. True or false? Transportation disadvantaged riders includes only older adults and persons with disabilities. True or false? Who is eligible as per 427.013 Florida statute to assure the cost-effective provision of transportation by qualified CTCs or transportation operators? Options are A, B, C, or D. A, CTD, B, CTC, C, MPO, D, LCB. The Designated Official Planning Agency, or DOPA, assists the CTD at the local level in accomplishing the coordination of transportation services to the transportation disadvantaged. Who is the local DOPA? That's the bonus question, and the answer would be true or false. Who enters into an annual agreement with the planning agency to assist in meeting its responsibilities? A, B, C, or D? the CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCD? Who investigates a grievance committee to process and investigate TD complaints? And the bonus for that question is who else may hear grievances? Your answer is A, B, C, or D. And that's the CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCD. Formal grievances, quote unquote, and service complaints, quote unquote, are primarily addressed by the LCB Grievance Committee. That's true or false. And the bonus for that question is, are there other ways to resolve complaints and grievances? Who provides guidance for the local coordination of services? Options are A, B, C, and D. That's the CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCD. And the last two questions, who oversees a community transportation coordinator? That's A, B, C, or D. And that's the CTD, the CTC, the MPO, or the LCD. And the last question, some of you might remember it from last year, TOPS. TOPS is an acronym. It's short for A, Transportation of Paratransit Services, B, Transportation of People Services, C, Transportation Options Program, and D, Transportation of Public Services. So what we'll do as you guys continue to work, we're going to stop about 10 minutes until 3, and then we will do a quick survey in Mentee. We'll get you guys logged in to be able to do that. And then we'll proceed directly to the regular business meeting, and we'll keep that short. If anyone needs assistance, please raise your hand. We'll come around and assist.
I'm going to need to study this. If you record. ETC. ET. Cleaning board.
right, everyone. What I would like to offer is that we have an opportunity to go around and just answer the questions. The members have the opportunity to do that. So we can do one of two things. We can stop now and we can just start going through the questions that we have done. Or you can continue, whatever your preference is. We can just do it by a show of hand. For those who would like to stop and let's just go through the questions that are done, raise your hand. Okay, that's the majority. Let's do that. So you can go up to, if you hadn't noticed already, the number for the slides is on the bottom right. And you can just go up to number 1. Actually, number 2, I apologize. That's the first official question. And then anyone that has the answer that wants to share it, please just chime in. I'm going to turn my mic off and turn it over to you all.
I said it was false because it's not at internal meetings, only open meetings.
It's false.
Actually.
Okay, there's some disagreement. Interesting. Sandy, did you want to chime in?
The issue at hand is whether it was taken or made at internal. It doesn't state that in the PDF. It does say about open meetings.
You can't violate sunshine law either internally or open, as far as I know.
I think the question is worded, leaves some vagary, perhaps. So I take your point, Sandy. Anyone else? Charlotte?
But then when I looked at the question, it was really focused on formal actions that are binding. And so if you're in an internal meeting, would that formal action be binding versus if you're in an external meeting? So that was the piece that I that differentiated it. And then I know in what we were reading, it said only the external.
Right, and I threw in that word internal intentionally, so that was sorry to confuse everyone, so, but that was the point. So thank you for the digging in. Anyone like to go to number 3?
Are we on 3 or 2?
Slide number 3, just chime in.
True?
Concurred. I heard
True.
you.
I had it's true.
Yeah, true.
We can continue proceeding. Anybody want to go to slide 4?
You're not going to tell us if we're right or wrong?
This is an exercise. It's not my job to grade you. You have the guidebook. Mr. Strobus is here if he has any concerns about any of the answers as well. The intent here was to familiarize you with when things come up, should they come up, that the guidebook is a tool and a resource for you. So I can provide it at a future time. I like a hard copy for you all with the answers. Certainly happy to do that.
Have
I
it
don't
straight.
know that we'll learn anything if our answers are wrong.
Yeah, that's
If
what
we
I'm
don't-
concerned
If
about.
we
I
don't
wanna know
tell
the
us the right.
Ah, very good.
That's the
Okay.
school teacher in me.
Okay, so the teachers are voting for a copy of the answers. I'm actually going to send those out in an email for you. So we won't have to wait for those. All right?
Thank you.
Certainly. So we will work on our best assumptions. How's that? We'll continue. Did anyone want to answer 4? Did we already?
True.
True. Marie says true. Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
it
we
is
got
true
an
also.
agreement. Okay, great. 5?
A,
Yes. Mr. Strobus, would you like to confirm that for your members? Question number 5, who approves the appointment of a CTC?
Well, it's a little. The MPO actually makes the official recommendation to the CTD of who the CTC is for the region, based off the recommendation of the LCB.
Number 6, anybody?
PTC.
I
who provides transportation services for the TD eligible individuals. So Marie is saying B. Yes. Slide number 7.
I said D, local coordinating board.
Judy, is that you?
Oh,
Or who's saying? I'm not sure who's saying. Alexis?
yes.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And you said,
Oh, I'm sorry. I said D, local coordinating board.
okay, anyone else? Who develops and maintains TD rider eligibility? Mr. Strobus, would you like to weigh in on that?
So the correct answer for that is the CTC develops in conjunction with the LCB in an advisory fashion, but the CTC develops the eligibility and enforces those rules.
Thank you, Paul. On the memorandum of agreement, which agency approves the MOA between the CTD and the CTC, and how often? Anybody find that? Number 8 in the guidebook on page 161 of 210. We've got C. We have answer C from
MPO.
Ephraim, MPO. Anyone else?
I had MPO also.
Okay. Paul, any disagreement with our members?
The memorandum of agreement is approved by the CTD Board of Directors. The MPO presents the agenda item, as I mentioned earlier, recommending the CTC, but it's ultimately the CTD that votes and approves that agreement. And it's a 5-year term each time. So I'll be bringing an item in the next couple of months because our current MOA expires June 30th.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Number 9, the TDSP, the Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan. It's a blueprint for TD services with a framework for service performance evaluation to meet the needs of the community. So page 4 of 210, anyone have the answer as true or false?
True.
True. All right. Very good. 10, the LCB reviews the annual operating report that is prepared by the CTC. This should be familiar. We did this recently for some of you that were present. Yes, thank you very well. Slide 11, anyone? Who conducts an evaluation of the CTC and how often? Page 68 out of 210 in the PDF.
CTD.
Chair says CTD.
I thought it was the
Marie?
LCB.
I just can't hear you, Mary.
That's what I had.
LCB.
Yep. Paul, would you like to add to that?
The LCB provides an evaluation of how we did it on an annual basis. That'll be coming up in April. For those that might be interested.
And that'll be on the agenda coming up. We'll be talking about the review committee. And the next one, statewide policies, procedures, eligibility guidelines, technical assistance, quality assurance reviews. Who is responsible and how often? Page 68 of through page 69. Anyone? Paul's familiar with this experience.
You know, I like to interject. I couldn't find these answers necessarily on these pages. I don't know why. but-
They were hard to find. I agree,
Yeah,
'cause you weren't sure what
especially when
page.
I was in the
LCD.
small print, but I couldn't find it or for how long, but
I agree.
I'm happy to give everyone the answers. In fact, maybe what I'll do, I can get a highlighted copy of the book and share. Very good.
So for that one I
LCB.
put LCB, but I
Yeah,
was
me
looking
too.
around. That's
Me
what I
too.
had.
Yeah,
Was right.
D.
So the CTD, the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage, is actually the entity that creates statewide transportation disadvantage policies.
Yep.
They conduct quality assurance reviews every 2 years in the county.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're just going to do a couple more so we can stop at about 10 minutes till so we can do a survey. Bus passes for TD, are they purchased with trip and equipment grant funds and help incentivize use of fixed route system in service areas where available? So the bonus would be what's a benefit and what is a challenge? So anyone have an answer for that?
I thought it was true.
True. We've got truths. Paul?
Yep. We're able to provide about 1,000 bus passes per month to just transportation disadvantaged individuals who have the ability to ride our fixed route system.
And then in terms of like the bonus that I put in there, so a benefit it's a benefit in and of itself, but the challenges is Paul's service is so great, as he mentioned before, that folks like that door to door. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but they're constantly working toward that goal. So
Well, the TD criteria is age, disability, or income. And so while door to door is generally provided to those with physical or cognitive barriers to transportation, income's also a big one in our community. And so by providing a means test access to our bus pass program allows them to use the public transit to get around in our community. So we're able to help all the different demographics of our disadvantaged populations.
thanks, Paul. I think everyone knows this one for the next one. Just touching base with the MPO staff if you will or will not attend a meeting. Is it 1 day's notice or otherwise? Did you find the answer? 5. Okay, very good. On 15, I think we've got time for maybe a couple more. Who recommends the TD eligibility guidelines and who assists? Charlotte, do you have an answer?
Oh, I didn't get to that one. I'll have to.
Okay. Anyone else
I
get that
stopped
far?
at the last one.
I got to 12.
There will not be a quiz. There is not a test. There's not a grade.
Should recommend guidelines.
Okay.
Top dogs.
Paul?
Yeah, so the CTC will recommend eligibility changes if there were any to the LCB for their opinion and review and take that under advisement.
Wonderful. And we'll just go ahead and do the one more. The review committee, which happens in the spring in April, we'll be talking about that today, processes and investigates quote unquote service complaints. And the grievance committee reviews formal grievances. Anyone have the true or false? I put a little trick in there for you guys just to see if you could come up with the answer on that one.
Oh, you down there.
For those of you who've participated on the review committee before,
Yeah.
do you remember investigating service complaints? Is that part of that activity?
False. Right.
Okay. Paul, you want to tell them the answer?
So yeah, the answer is false. The CTC is responsible for reviewing and responding to everyday service complaints. The grievance committee is brought together if there is a formal grievance that can't be resolved at the CTC level. And for the bonus question, the CTD serves as the ombudsman for the program.
Right. So again, thank you everyone for being open-minded. I would have loved to have brought you off the dais for an interactive exercise, but out of an abundance of caution, we managed the task here today. So I really appreciate your flexibility and participation. And I'll work on getting you the copy, as I said, of this. So I might even attach it in the next agenda. So it'll be in 2 places. I'll send you an email and then I'll attach it for future reference. So that wraps it up for that. What I would like to do.
Just make one suggestion I was thinking
Sure.
about. I don't know if the rest of the people would agree with me. There's a lot of acronyms with the LCB and the everything, but if you could just make a quick outline of the different, 4 or 5 different agencies, just an outline of just their main jobs. I think that would be a big help without having to read through all this stuff because there's definite things here like that the LCB review committee would do this and that and the other. So just the main things that we would maybe be involved in, you know what I mean? Just
I'm happy to do that.
just a precise little quick outline.
We
I
actually
think that
have
would be
the,
really helpful to send to us.
the CTD has, it's embedded in the actual guidebook. I'll extract it and I'll give you that. It's like a synopsis of the
Right.
different functions.
Yeah.
Happy to do that as well.
Would that help everybody rather than trying to digest all this great big long guidebook?
I think that would be helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always good to have that summary sheet.
Consider that done. Okay, so what we'll do now is, I was thinking about in the coming this year, as we move through the year, to perhaps do a little more on the planning side, a little bit of a deeper dive with the members, thinking that there are, problems and possible solutions that you all might like to work on. So put together a mentee presentation. And actually, Kyra, do you want to introduce the mentee? How would you? I mean, Rebecca, can we switch over to that? Already up? Okay, it's on the screen behind you. So what we wanted to do, this is, we're going to have you sign in at the very top. You can see it's mentee.com. Oh,
Can you hear me?
So you're asking them to open a browser on their computer in
yes.
front of them, right?
So if you all can take out your smartphones. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyra with the MPO. If you are able to take out your smartphone and go to your web browser and type in mentee.com. If you need the Wi-Fi, you can click on the Broward MPO public and it'll allow you to log in and you just hit accept and you'll be on our Wi-Fi to speed up the process. If you have T-Mobile like me, it probably moves pretty slow. You can do it on the computer. Oh, even better.
Thank you, Rebecca. So just, you can do it right on the computer, mentee.com. At the very top of the screen and behind you, you can see the numbers that you can enter once you get there.
So once you get to the Mentee screen, you'll see the code part where you type in the code.
And I'm going to read that out loud as well. It's 25286094. That's 25286094. And this first one is really just an icebreaker to help you guys get used to the technology.
I think
Oh,
is
just
it
open it.
MENTI? Okay, I put E. I got another site. Okay. It was interesting though. It was a technology site.
Just raise your hand if you need any assistance.
Okay. Word.
Yeah, once they hit submit, it'll pop up. On your side, click show.
Give you just a minute longer. And as you guys enter, a word cloud is developing and it's up on the screens behind you.
So the words that you see that are bigger, that means that it was entered more than once.
I think there's just a couple more folks adding in at this time, and then we'll proceed. So. Since we're limited on time, we're coming to the end here. If we can just go ahead and proceed. Okay, so what we're doing here, these are some possible deep dives. And just so you're aware, there is an other, but because the format was different, it's on the next slide. So what we're asking you to do, you have 12 options here, and the 13th option is other, which will pop up on the next slide if you don't see something on the list that you want to add. So just be patient. So if you can rank your top 5 in order of preference, and that'll help us with some guidance for the calendar year moving forward. And then remember, other is on the next slide. If you have something that's not on this list, you will get a chance to enter that in just a moment. Are any special instructions I'm missing on this question for the mentee?
So pretty much you're gonna select your top 5. After you select, when you click on the first option, there will be a drop-down menu with all of the options for you to select from. And we're asking that you select 5 of the 12 that's most important to you. And once you're done with those 5, you'll hit submit. And on the big screen, it'll rank them in order of based off of how everyone voted.
Thanks, Kyra. Next slide is other, Mr. Levitt. So if you have something additional, you can contribute it on the next slide as well. Okay, great. Again, we're just about out of time, so just proceed to the next question. You can continue, and then we'll advance. Is your other option if you had an other option. So if you had another option, we want to give you time to enter another option. Okay, again, thank you everyone for your contributions. Really appreciate your patience through the exercise, and Mr. Strobus, thank you very much for helping as well today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to our chair to go through our regular business meeting. And Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back in 2022. I hope it's a great year for all of you. And thank you for your support and coming to provide quorum for our meeting today. So we'll turn it over to the chair at this time. Is there anyone that came in after we got started that hasn't already chimed in for roll call?
I don't think I did.
Oh, okay. If whoever came in, please go ahead. You can say who you are and what agency you're with. Use your microphone if you will, please. Thank you.
Lisa Van Voorst with South Florida Institute on Aging.
Charlotte Mather Taylor, Area Agency on Aging of Broward County.
Ephraim, did we get you earlier? Okay, great.
All right, thank you very much. And we've called to order our regular meeting. We have a quorum, so we can proceed. Unless we have any additions or subtractions from the minutes of our October 18th meeting, could we have a motion? And then when you give the motion, would you give your name and your second? Just give your name so we know who's making it. Could we have a motion to pass the minutes?
Sue Gallagher, motion to pass the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, same thing for the approval of the agenda. Could we have a motion in a second, please?
Bob Sedlecki, so approved.
Okay, I guess going back, I assume, do I have approval of the minutes from everyone on the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
And approval of the agenda, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the approval of the minutes, opposed? No, okay. That nay from me was just a example to other people. I wasn't saying no. Do we have any public comments, Rebecca? No? Okay, no public comments. So we can move on now to our action items. The first one is move to elect the LCB vice chair. This action is necessary, and at the present time, Melanie McGill is our vice chair. Is there anyone else that would like to have this job, or we offer it to Melanie again?
And Melanie is not here today.
But she is willing to be vice chair again.
I don't want to speak for her. She's not present, so we open it to the floor.
So what should we put it to the next meeting? Well, I did. Is there anybody on the floor that would like to be the LCB vice chair? That means you'd have to be me if I wasn't here. Mostly. All right,
I'd be happy to do it if you,
okay.
but if Melanie wants, I guess you can't elect Melanie if she's not here, right? So I'll do it if you'd like.
All right, so Charlotte Mather, new name, volunteered to be the LCB chairperson. So could we have a motion to
Vice chair, right?
vice chair? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
not chair.
vice chair.
I want to get that straight.
Would someone like to make a motion for that in a second so we could make it official, please?
Mark Levitt, I'll make the motion.
Milo Isina, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, perfect. Now, a motion to select LCB members to serve on the LCB Review Committee. And we have between, 3 and 6 folks that are on? I just lost my thing again. Hold on. So anyway, on this committee, we have between 3 and 6 people. The citizen advocate must be one of these 3 to 6 people. Currently, we have, how many people do we have at the moment?
Last year, the folks who participated, our membership, Charlotte participated, Charlotte Mather Taylor, Melanie McGill participated, Danielle McGill participated. She is online today, by the way, and Vanessa Gabriel participated as well. So that was last year. So with the exception of the citizen advocate, if we can get at least 3, possibly more folks to sign up for the review committee. That'll be in April.
And the review committee may make recommendations to LCB for action on the LCB bylaws and LCB complaint and grievance procedures. And the CTC, which includes consideration of Broward County, et cetera, as the CTC. And the meetings are held usually here at the MPO office. And it would be on April 18th, 2022 at 2 p.m. And the committee at that time will be reviewing the LCB bylaws and LCB complaint and grievance procedures and the CTC at this one meeting. An agenda, of course, will be sent to you. So could we have some people that might, 3 people that might want to volunteer to be on this review committee?
I'll do it again if you want.
Okay, Charlotte's one.
It's not that time consuming, guys.
It's just this one
very
meeting,
reasonable.
right?
Yeah,
It's
correct. Yeah.
April.
April.
And
8th.
Charlene keeps it really organized, so all you have to do is just read what she gives you, and it's very simple.
And we have a survey that is part of that process. It isn't extensive, and that's part of the evaluation process. So, but we set everything up to keep it as simple as possible. And depending on how things go, we may even have the flexibility to do that remotely. We can check on that. So any other additional volunteers? We have 2 so far. We've got our citizen advocate and then Charlotte.
I will volunteer, Alexis Harrison.
Thank you, Alexis.
So we need 3. Is there anyone else? We have what we need, but if there's anyone else that would like to do it.
If anyone hasn't done it before, it's a great exercise to learn a little bit more about the CTC and the processes for the LCB, the recommendations that you'll bring forward for the LCB to approve in May at the May meeting. More the merrier.
I have a question.
Please.
Is this part of the part where we do those telephone surveys?
Yes, exactly what you did previously.
Okay. I think I did that last year.
Yes, you did. Your citizen advocate, you're tagged again.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Last call.
All right, that's good. So we need a motion then to approve the people that just volunteered.
Sue Gallagher, motion to approve.
Second. You say, would you both say your names to make sure we have those? And who made the first motion?
Sue Gallagher.
Oh, Sue, okay. Motion, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously again. The next one, motion to recommend Broward MPO approve the LCB membership appointment for our veterans. Mr. Davis has been our representative for that, and he is retiring. So we have Owen Walker, who is going to be our primary appointment, and Manny Fuentes, who's going to be our alternate. I believe they're both here today. Owen down there, and Manny is down there next to him. So if there's no discussion on that, we could have a motion to approve their appointments. And thank you for stepping up and volunteering for these. Motion?
I'll make a motion, Vera Sherritt.
Okay, and a second?
Mary Doisman, I second it.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous. We're such a good group. We get along so perfectly. All right, on our non-action items, paratransit update and transportation disadvantage grant tracking report, and that's Mr. Strobus is going to give that to us.
Good afternoon. So provided the statistical report, if there's any questions for that, I'd be happy to answer them. A couple of points that I want to make from the report. You can see that ridership's starting to recover. We are averaging about 75% of our pre-pandemic ridership levels. Again, I think that's mostly attributed to some of the destinations for adult programs, day programs, not being back to 100% themselves. Also changes in lifestyles of maybe people working remotely, so they don't need that adult program for some of our riders in the past. But it's continuing to trickle up there. So that's a good sign, getting back to normal. Paratransit services still requiring masks to ride on the service like any other public transit, planes, trains, automobiles. Federal government's extended that deadline through April. So we continue to enforce that for our riders. Finding drivers continues to be a battle for us. My vendor continues to do what they can, outreach to the market. But we are still able to cover our ridership without any service cuts or anything like that. But for both paratransit and fixed route, driver availability is something that we're closely monitoring. Some activities that we've had since our last meeting in October. I've added 2 new members to my department to help support the TD program, a IT application analyst for reporting, and a bilingual customer support person. So if you ever come by the building, we can introduce you. We're in the interview process for 2 additional individuals. One will be dedicated to the TD eligibility process. They'll be responsible for approving all new applicants for our TD program. Another one is going to be a fleet inspector. That person's primary role will be just maintaining a visual inspection that the vehicles are being well maintained for service. We participated in the Broward Center for Independent Living. They have an annual program. It's a leadership training program. I've been speaking to this group now for a little over 8 years. They're developing advocates for individuals with disabilities, how to speak up. And so they expose them to many different facets of life, whether it's employment, transportation, things like that. So in December, they had their first class in 2 years get together, and I was able to talk about some of the barriers that they experience throughout, their day-to-day lives, and tell more about what we do, give them a better understanding and how to be that advocate to try to break down some of those barriers in the world of transportation for them. Broward County awarded a new contract to a call center provider for us, Intel Direct, who's been our vendor for many years, will continue on for another multi-year contract with us. And in December, staff participated in the FDOT 5310 workshop last month. My staff helped present in one of the workshop sessions on coordination agreements, how to get a coordination agreement with us as they try to get into the 5310 vehicle program. So upcoming, our 2023 operating budget season starts in about 30 days. And that would start October 1st. So we're starting our evaluation of what our needs are going to be for the next fiscal year for ridership trends, taking our best guess at what the trip and equipment grant's going to be for next year, which we don't know till legislation finishes this year. But one thing that I can say solidly is we'll be fully funded for whatever our need is beyond the transportation disadvantage grant, whether it's using our existing funding or the transportation surtax dollars to help cover whatever that gap is. And as I mentioned earlier, Broward County, I'll be bringing an item to our commission seeking to recommend that we continue to serve as the CTC for Broward County for the next 5-year term. And hopefully we'll have an item here for our May meeting for you to approve. That's my report.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have a question for Mr. Strobus?
Slightly interested in those two job openings, working at vocational
Could you
rehabilitation.
put your mic on?
Oh,
so-
I'm so sorry. I'm slightly interested in the job openings that you guys have available for the fleet inspector and the eligibility inspector as well. How would I look up those jobs?
The job descriptions are available on www.broward.org/careers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Great report. Sounds encouraging. All right, the upcoming CTD business meeting. Did you want to say something about that, Paul? Coming up in Orlando?
No, the next meeting is February, I believe. It's going to be held at the same time as Transportation Disadvantage Day, which is held in Tallahassee. Gives individuals for the TD programs across the state a chance to go up to the State House and meet with their legislators to, tell them what they feel they need in their communities. I will not be traveling up there to Tallahassee for that. Too long of a drive. But if anybody here is interested, I believe it's February 16th.
The link with the dates there in the agenda.
Okay, you had a chance to look at the monthly LCB operating reports for August through November. Does anybody have any comments on those or questions? And then the planning related grant agreement task quarterly progress report were also provided to you. And then the last thing is helping Broward move the E-Town Hall on paratransit. I think we discussed this at the meeting after they actually had this presentation, and what a absolutely phenomenal amount of information was found in it. And if you did not attend it that night, the link here is on your agenda and you can link into it. It's on YouTube, right? And the link is right there to take you to it. It really would behoove you to sit down and take a little while and listen to it, because if you'll learn a lot of information that perhaps you didn't know, because I learned interesting things, and it's something that I shared with a lot of my friends who were unaware of these services, because you never know when someone knows someone that needs them. And it's at this point in my time, it's amazing how many people do not know that this exists. So please try and take some time to listen to it. Do you have anything to add to that? Charlene was one of the core people in this, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, Paul Strobus was one of the presenters. I basically served as the facilitator. We had our friends at the Northwest Focal Point Senior Center, and our member Danielle McGill representing the disabled as well. So do please watch the YouTube. And Sandy, thanks. I understand you even shared that with your commission members. So we appreciate that. So that's she's serious about expressing the interest and enjoying the review of that document. So thanks everyone. Please do have a look at that.
And the information, for instance, that Darlene shared, it's really, to me, it's really interesting to talk to the people that actually use the service and all, because we sit here and we see it in print, but we don't go on it and use it all the time. So you get a wealth of knowledge from the folks that are really using it. So do try and take a listen to it. Okay, how about member comments? Anybody have anything?
Vera, I believe you have a report for participating at the conference.
I'll try to be brief. Yes, I do.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to thank the MPO. It's on, isn't it? My mic's on. Can you hear me? Okay. I'd like to thank the MPO for providing the opportunity to attend the annual conference. It was a conference as well as an expo, which meant that it was in the Daytona Beach Arena. It's a very large facility. And I attended 9 workshops. The interesting thing that is presented in each workshop is the progress that's being made all over the state of Florida. And my overall impression is that it's going to be a while before the rest of the state catches up with Broward. They have various grants that they have put together to afford services to TD folks. I mean, the funding is there from the state commission, but there weren't a lot of programs that were available to serve folks. And just as an aside, as an example, I should say, we've been transporting trip-specific dialysis patients for many, many years. And we ceased mixing them with people going for other services. Other areas haven't come to that point yet. They're working on it, and I'm just citing that as an example of how progressive Broward has become. We've been at that point for many years. There's a couple areas of the state that have made progress. The Heartland is providing funding for some of their residents. It seems that the Manatee County, the Bradenton area has, they did a presentation on what they've been doing during the pandemic and all over the state. And I was very proud of the fact when I saw that our TOPS program was transporting people one-on-one to receive the vaccines. A lot of folks didn't have that availability until they started looking at it statewide. So the partnerships were with the transportation disadvantaged operators as well as United Way and other organizations. It really was a sign that statewide with the pandemic, it's affected a lot of things, but again, a lot of the groups and organizations have worked together to address many, many issues as far as the pandemic is concerned. As I mentioned, I had one of the things that I was interested in, because I'd seen it the year before, is the non-driver vehicles that were being used, the autonomous vehicles that were being used in a pilot project in Lake Nona. And if those of you who aren't familiar with that, Lake Nona is a retirement community, very similar to the villages up near Orlando. And they had a pilot project to use autonomous vehicles. And they had a report. I was very interested. So interested that I missed the CTC's board meeting, but that's maybe Charlene can comment on the board meeting. They made special arrangements for me. John Irving, our delegate from Tallahassee, saw that I was having difficulty with walking because the facility is huge. And in order to get to the board meeting, you had to do like 3 flights of stairs. And in order not to use the stairs, he had Votran, which is their transit organization, bring a wheelchair over to the facility so that somebody could take me upstairs. Well, I was so late by the time I got there because we had to take 2 elevators. I missed the whole meeting. I would have only been late, but you know, I was really interested in seeing what was going on with the autonomous vehicles. One of the terms that I learned there, and it's something to pay attention to, is what they're calling platooning of vehicles. And that means autonomous vehicles are being hooked together so that additional folks can be transported. You're going to see a lot of that coming in the future, probably not as soon as we would like it, but they are going to probably start doing this with semis coming down through from the northern states. That's the general consensus. I've got all kinds of notes here, but I think there were more for my benefit than anything. Interestingly enough, and of course, the pandemic has affected everything. One of the things I heard a couple folks here at the last meeting talk about is the difficulty finding employees to hire. That was identified as a problem then, and as late as last night on a news update, I heard that number one, the benefits of working from home have really affected a lot of transport. One of the lunchtime speakers broke down the population who is eligible to work. And I was kind of astounded to learn that baby boomers are now just like 27% of the working population. Generation X and the millennials have different philosophies on employment and how work should be accomplished. So this has created problems not only in the private sector, but with our transportation providers statewide. Interestingly enough, and I don't want to take up too much more time, there were only 3 LCB members there. There were 2 chairs and myself as a member. And the interesting thing was that one of the people was the mayor of Delray Beach. And it's kind of interesting because the first breakfast meeting that we had, the session photographer happened to be at the table I was at. So he was taking pictures through everything. And of course, we had talked a little bit during the breakfast. He wanted to take a picture of the 3 of us together, the 3 representatives of local coordinating board. So we took the picture. And I had mentioned to John Irvine that I had been involved with transportation since 1982. And he looked at the mayor of Delray and said, "What year were you born?" He said 1983.
You need it.
So it was kind of interesting to see that we can observe, those of us who have been in the transportation arena for a great length of time, we can see the progress that's been made, not only in Broward, but statewide. And some of the rural areas are finally, it's still a budget crunch for them, but some of the rural areas have benefited as a result of the funding through the CTCs and have made great strides ahead in each area. As I said, the Bradenton, the Manatee area, I mean, they have really, some of the areas that have problems with homeless populations have put them to work washing vehicles. Some of them that are qualified that have been homeless, they've searched homeless shelters and found people who had the necessary credentials to drive vehicles. So there's a lot of things going on statewide that that became evident as a result of the conference. And I really appreciated being able to attend and learn some of the things that were going on all over the state. And it just reinforced the pride that I have in Broward County as far as where we were and where we have come as far as services to our population. So
Okay,
That's
thank you. That
basically
was
it.
a very interesting report.
thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Vera?
That was
Thank
a
you
great
very much, and
report.
Thank you for your time.
Really interesting.
I enjoyed it.
All righty, our next meeting, the review committee, April 18th, 2022, and then our next regular meeting will be May 16th of 2022. And so we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Bob Sidlecki.
In a second.
Second, Charlotte Mather Taylor.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We're adjourned.
Grandpa.
All right.